Hey everyone, JagTagger93 here with a really nice 8-map WAD sent to me by Niccolò Stopponi. Now I must admit that usually when people send me WADs out of the blue, I'm often a little hesitant. Usually they fall under one or a combination of these four categories. First category, troll maps like Terry traps and whatnot. The second category being, well, a virus. The third category being something really creepy. And the fourth category, something actually decent. When I fired it up, I had a look at the title screens, and I was feeling a little apprehensive when I was seeing them. I really looked like this can go either way. Thankfully, Niccolo's WAD falls under the third and fourth category of creepy and decent, a winning combination for me. So the name of this 8-map WAD is simply called Djinn, which refers to supernatural entities originating from the Middle East, and they have been compared to anything and everything from fey creatures to aliens to demons and angels, so I wasn't quite sure what to expect. Perhaps the events of the original Doom triggered an invasion of Djinn from the Middle East, and they were utilizing UAC teleport technology to cross into our realm from wherever the heck it is the Djinn come from. I don't know. But anyway, the detail of this WAD definitely hints at something nefarious, if not outright demonic, happening behind the scenes, especially with how the final map ends. Now, the first map starts with the player standing in the desert beside what appears to be some Egyptian ruins. In the following maps, you explore the ruins more thoroughly. Now, in the first few maps, the Egyptian iconography is front and center. But as the maps continue, there's less and less Egyptian flavor present, and more the demonic cathedral-like architecture and details typical of Doom. Now, I can't quite put my finger on it, but progressing through these maps felt almost like I was descending into something evil. Things start above ground, brightly lit, sunny real-world desert. Then you descend into the dimly lit Egyptian ruins. As the maps keep going, you descend further and further into castles seemingly built in the outskirts of hell itself. And if you keep going, you end up at map 8 at only what I can describe as a dark abyss, facing off against something. I'm not going to give it away, but it's something. I'm not sure what it is. A djinn, a devil, some type of cosmic horror masquerading as a djinn. I don't know, but you'll definitely see what I mean. So the ambience and even attention to progression of ambience is definitely here. But how does this WAD play? Well, most of the maps are really a lot of fun to explore and play through. There was a strong emphasis on shootable switches throughout all these maps. Definitely keep an eye out for those. There's also quite a few clever tricks and traps. Perhaps my favorite trap for its simplicity is in map 7. At one point you're in a room through a very small window you can shoot some monsters. And if you do that, if you're shooting through the window, there's a shootable switch right behind it. And if you accidentally tag the shootable switch, you will trigger a monster ambush right behind you. It's such an ingenious little thing that I've never thought of doing, I've never seen done in any other WAD. I'm sure it has been done because it's just so simple and obvious, but anyway, there's tons of great little ambushes and tricks and traps throughout all these maps. Now, speaking of map 7, I gotta really come down a bit on it and say that map 7 really was the weakest part of this entire WAD for me. Map 7 is simply much too big for its own good. Within map 7, one could probably have made 2 or 3 really great separate maps. The amount of backtracking back and forth between areas in map 7 was definitely grating. I also remember being completely stuck, not realizing where I had to go next. And where I actually had to go was down this green tunnel that I already explored much earlier in the map. The trap I mentioned with the shootable switch that triggers an ambush, this tunnel is right near there, and it ends with an archvile and what seems like a dead end. Half an hour later, I'm completely stuck looking for a key. I have nowhere to go. I keep backtracking between different places of interest. So I'm wandering around, and I come back to that green tunnel, walk through it, expecting to find the dead end again, but no, there's the door, and there's where I gotta go next. Really frustrating. Now, the fights in map 7 are very challenging, but the author does give you what you need for this one. This is by no means a survival map. If you come to an area where it seems like you don't have the health or weapons to progress, backtrack a bit. Yeah, you'll be doing a lot of this in this map. But anyway, backtrack, seriously, and look for the items. They're there. This map is so large and complex that you'll undoubtedly find something you've missed before. For example, I was having a really hard time completing the last big fight with the Diabolist boss. A Diabolist is if for those who don't know, basically like a super-powered archvile, and you guys know how much I hate archviles. Well, this one's a pain in the butt to take down, especially with its attacks, and I didn't have the health or weapons to down it. So I backtracked a bit, and sure enough, I was rewarded with health, ammo, and even a BFG, which made the fight a lot easier. So again, Map 7 is really not great in my opinion. However, in terms of the overall pacing throughout Maps 1 through 8, Map 7's spot is very much appreciated. Again, there's a definite progression in atmosphere and mood that I picked up on happening throughout this WAD, and that's really what makes it special to me. After going deeper and deeper down this rabbit hole, and things got harder and harder with each map, Map 7 felt like a crescendo with how hard the enemy, the combat was. And by now, in Map 7, the familiar Egyptian imagery of the first few maps was long gone. It had all been replaced with demonic images and symbols typical of Doom. It was as if the big bad, again whatever it is, a Djinn or whatever, was letting us come closer and closer to it. And as we did, it was slowly dropping the appearance of being some sort of Egyptian spirit or Djinn, and getting ready to show itself as the true hellspawn or cosmic horror that it really is. Now, I know what it may sound like, that I'm reading too much into it, but as you guys know, I'm a sucker for good ambience in my Doom WADs. Just give me a little bit of detail, just a little bit, and my mind will go wild and make a whole story. So that was my mindset when I arrived at Map 8. Map 8, the final map, starts the player in pure darkness with only 10 enemies appearing on the map. After the thematic progression and challenge escalation of the last 7 maps, my anticipation was at a fever pitch when I got to this area. Also, when I got to this level, it was about 2 in the morning, and my only source of light was the faint glow of my computer monitor. Taking all that into account, I was definitely on edge, and even creeped out a bit about what was possibly coming up. Now, I'm purposely not showing a whole lot of the final map, by the way. I really don't want to ruin the ending. It's pretty fantastic. Now, after completing Map 8, I was really hoping for an ending text screen. Sadly, no such luck. Now, the author has mentioned that the map is still a work in progress, and he feels there's still a few bugs he wanted to correct. So keep that in mind when playing this one. I'm hoping when we see it again, I will get that ending screen. Now, Djinn is an incredibly ambitious WAD that's heavy on atmosphere, has very solid puzzles, great old school platform puzzles actually, and excellent enemy and item placement for the most part. Definitely play this one, especially if you're like me and you're one of those weirdos who actually cared about story and lore back in the day when Doom was new. Also, play this one and hurt me plenty at first. Now, the first few maps may start off extremely simple and it might be tempting to up it to ultra violence, but trust me, there's a definite difficulty spike coming. As it is, Djinn earns a solid 9 out of 10 for me. And I'll throw in 1.5 pyramids, just for the overall detail here. So that brings it to an overall score of 93%. And that is it. Thank you all for watching. This is JagTagger93 signing out. You have a good one.